Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the John Williams Show. Well, I'm your host, John Williams. Brought to you in part by BPUA, Black Paralegals Undergraduates Association. Food for thought today. Hmm. Are you doing what it is you're supposed to be doing? Or are you doing something and procrastinating with what you're supposed to be doing? Is it important? Do you supposed to be doing it? Well, food for thought. Let us find out. Oh, my shirt. Let me show you how it looks. Let me show you what it is. You know, I always try to get on the show and I always try to match, right? Um, and we will be bringing to you different shows and different episodes from the John Williams Show. So, again, my shirt. This is my Throwback Dallas. Y'all know who this is, right? So, well, we want to talk about a little bit of history and a little bit about what we're going to be bringing to the show. So I'll be bringing to the show different things, different people, different topics. My first show will be downtown Dallas. My next show will be maybe right here in my studios. We'll have a very special guest for you. So again, food for thought. Are you doing what it is you're supposed to be doing? Are you? Have you been doing it? If not, what are you doing? And is it important what you're doing? That's food for thought. Shifting gears. A little bit of history I want to deal with is taken from the train of food for thought. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Do we know what we're supposed to be doing? History tells us what it is we're supposed to be doing. Today's not going to tell you what it is you're supposed to be doing. Because today telling you to get a car, get jewelry, get all these other things, and don't build a society for yourself. Be greedy, be selfish, chew up and spit out who you can in the meantime, get what you can. The hell with building something and leaving it behind. So somewhere we're going to have to get history to show us what it is we need to be doing. That's looking in the mirror. So we could say, mirror, mirror on the wall, what is it that we should be doing for us all? And the mirror should solve it for us. The man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. When you take a look at who you are, do you see your future? Do you see your present? Do you see your past? Because they say, well, what do you see yourself in the next? They'll give you a short-term goal, maybe say 2 years. That's extremely short because the only thing you really gonna be doing 2 years is still working. If you're not already in position to be self-made, so then you stretch it out to 5. About 2.5 years, around about the second and a half year, should be doing something for yourself. So give it another 2 years and a half. Now that's 5. What have you done with what you made for yourself? Besides what you've been doing with somebody else that's telling you you're doing good. You are doing good. You're just not doing great. Those that are doing great do good for themselves. So they're doing great. If you're doing good for yourself, you met somebody that's doing good, that's doing something for somebody else, then you're doing great. Because you match somebody by doing for yourself that's doing for someone else, salary. Doing for yourself, you're doing great. So are you doing what it is that you need to be doing? And that's not just food for thought, but that's today's historical message. So let's take up who was doing what they were supposed to be doing in history. Those that came together, those that were the great thinkers that had learned how to read, that was taught how to do these arithmetics, and that was taught all these things and been handed to them. And we ain't just talking about by former slave masters or nothing like that. We're just talking about in general. Even starting back, dating back then. And they took those things, and these people you should look up. And they took those things that were given to them, and it became freedom for all. Okay? Or for at least enough people that would accept that, or that wanted to take it, or that wasn't afraid to put their hands on it. What happens to us is that because we have come into a position to where we think that civil rights really meant that it was equal justice for those that had formerly been considered cattle. Then we're riding high on that. That's a plane that's gonna pretty soon land, and it's gonna land back in the community that it took off from. It's not gonna land us anywhere but back at square one. This is just a detour ride back to the same place. It's a roller coaster, and the point A is point B, and vice versa. It's a coast, and it rolls back to the same point. It's the same pivot point. In basketball, they'll make them pivot, and you can do a whole circle on that one pivot. That's a pivot, and that's what is happening to the African American male and female, just living off of civil rights. That's on the airplane of civil rights. We're finna land back in the harsh reality of the ghetto. Not just the ghetto. Look at what they're doing to those black politicians that's going up and lobbying and talking about. They're arresting them. You know, don't matter how much game it is, they're still getting arrested regardless if it's real or not. We get arrested as real, regardless to what we see on TV, whether that's make believe or whether that's staged. But if you get in it, you're gonna be thorough. Whether that's a stage or not, whether they gonna get out. But eventually, if they do, and if if it's just staged or whatever, it don't matter. If they setting the example. If me being lobbying and as a politician and as one of those Democratic or Republicans and saying that I'm against this new suppression of voting and I'm being locked up, then what more gonna happen to a regular constituent? See, what more gonna happen to you? See, so are we doing what it is that's necessary for us to be able to, if we're gonna ride the plane of civil rights? And I know darn well because it's only got enough fuel to go back where it came from. You're in the amusement park of America, and the civil rights plane gonna go back to the amusement park of America where it took off from. It ain't have but enough fuel to make a circle. It's not fuel to take you to the next level. It's fuel to take you to the next circle, take you to, and give you the illusion that you really arrived, and then you're gonna ride right back in the ghetto, right back in poverty, right back in Jim Crow segregation, and which we already are, according to a lot of the scholars. But it's just that the idea that we're gonna have to move ourselves into a position. We were bold in the 80s, with the our own airplane company, one out of Atlanta, we were doing something. We were bold at some times. We had the Patterson car, I can't think of the name of the airplane company. That I remember it though. I wanted to ride it. I remember like 87. I was like, oh man, 86, 87. I'll never forget that. Man, it was like soul plane. Um, I never knew about the Patterson car company, but I was glad to learn of it. So we were bold. We've been having Greyhound and stuff like that. I think it's black owned. We were bold to have certain things, at a time where we'd already seen history tell us that they'll burn it down, they'll take it from us, or they'll come in and break it up some kind of way, or or get in the middle of it where it's dysfunctional. You know, they'll get in and disorganize it some type of way, infiltrate it. Is the word I'm looking for. But you know, we have to be able to learn how to keep people out and people in and people looking out for those who are coming in and knowing who they are when they come in and already have them streamlined and addressed as they come in. Really, really watching, the whole time. Uh, Wesley Snipes was in the movie. He was a day walker, and I think in part two, the young dude came and said, came and set up everything for him, and really, but he was infiltrating, and then he said, yeah, once he pressed the button and everybody came in and had Wes on the ground and took Whistler and all them, and Wes he said, yeah, I've been on you the whole time, I've been watching you. Wes had the thing in his mouth, and he's like, yep. I'm on you the whole time. Ahead of you. We gotta be ahead of people that's around us anyway. It might not be able to stop them from getting around you. Just gotta be ahead of them when they're there. And not just so trust because they doing little things, whatever. That if they win your trust and get you with your guard down, hit you with when your guard is down. So in that movie, it was portrayed that his guard was down, but it actually really wasn't. He was on top of it the whole time. They had a cover up, the little thing in his mouth, and it blew up, and he got out or whatever. But he was infiltrated though. He was infiltrated. So there goes the neighborhood. Actually, there goes the warehouse. You got to start over from ground. So, and it's interesting what we're gonna have to really start really doing, and how we're gonna have to really start really trusting what we don't want to trust, because we don't want to trust each other. We have a need to stay away from each other, to really judge one another. But here soon, we'll put differences to the side. Oh well, look, that's gonna have to be put down right now. And it ain't just because survival. It's because other people have already done it. We've already had to do it in times past. We've already had to do what we need to do that we need to be doing. And family is going to be the people that are going to have to do it first. Yeah, I'm going to have to deal with the family. I'm going to have to deal with it again. Because it's going to be soon that they're going to have to come. Although it looked like what it looks like, what it looked like now, but with this Delta 8 variant, and there's going to be just all this mass hysteria. So we're going to have to be doing what we need to be doing. Some of us say this. We say that, if you ask how you doing, man, just stand out the way, man. Just see, that's an indication that we have no businesses. We have no part in America, and we're not part of it. When we say we stand out the way, man, stand up under the radar, man, just trying to stay out each other, man. Yeah, that's an indication we got no businesses. That's an indication that the three C's is something that got us controlled, confined, and uh, uh, confused, basically. Those are the three C's. When because we can't deal with it any other way because you don't have anywhere to go to. So when I hear her say that, I know well you don't have no businesses in communities. You're under correctional control, confined, and under the correction, you can find in your own homes because the the either the either the either the you're underqualified because of background or because of education or there's no help or if there is you do be able to get it you're underpaid and overworked uh, and now if you do get it you're going to have to either take a COVID-19 test and you're going to be subjected to that test all the time or you're going to have to register once you take the vaccine and then you got probably like a registration card to show proof. See, that's the same thing as what I was talking about under chapter 62. See, that same registration and that same registration go in hand, and that's the reason why I keep this book on hand. That same registration is right here. This is what America's been doing. What 2000 since '96, right there. And what happens is because everybody was okay with it, because they put certain labels on it, that's the exact thing that they're doing today with the label, with the COVID-19 registration law. It's going to be a House bill, it's going to be a law, it's going to be all kind of stuff. It's going to be travel restrictions, it's going to be work restrictions, it's going to be environmental restrictions, it's going to be all kind of restrictions with it, unless you can prove that you've taken the shot. Now, once you take the shot, and once everything is cleared and you take it and then you comply. See, now you comply. See, under registration, if you don't register, you didn't comply. You damn what happened. You damn life go, you can't even get old on it. And get senile and forget nothing. See, on this gonna be the same thing. They're gonna give you this first two shots. Then come Delta 8 now. Oh, you gotta get a third shot. Oh, here come Delta 9. They gonna call it something else. They call it Delta 88. You know, oh, here come the bird now. Here come the juke jukes. Oh, you got the juke jukes. Oh, that's worse than the COVID. Oh my God, we're all gonna die. I mean, you gotta take that. Then you don't comply with that. See, now everybody else gonna be mad at you and upset with you. Cause see, you stopping the flow of America. You one of the ones. See, they're just dividing stuff. You know. You we're going to be in a position where everything is divided. Survive and conquer, divide and conquer. Um, and so people are gonna, and the black and white issue is gonna be the main thing at the top, though. People don't forget about that. That's gonna be give damn how much COVID it is, give damn what variant it is. The main issue is gonna be race. That's gonna be the main thing. Everything else is just an illusion that is not still race. Oh, all of us who? All this everybody in the hospital. Who in the hospital? See what we doing, we need to be doing. I just left it there in the hospital for orthopedics. The hospital is the same as it was. I don't see nobody up in there like that. It's flooded up in the JPS with all these people got the COVID, the new case of it. Where? Even if they do, um, the illusion of it. 90% of the hospitals bagged up, so people ain't got it. They ain't doing other surgery. It's this, and it's killing you quick though. It was killing people real. Not kids got it. First they couldn't get it. Now it's the new variant. Now they got it now. Oh man, new variant. They got it now. You got to really watch out. So it's gonna be schools shutting down. If we don't prepare, what are we doing? When when Reconstruction came, what did they do? Did they just sat there and went on white folks to tell them what to do? Most of them did. Yeah, most of them did. A lot of them died. They don't tell you how many people really just died. Waiting on some white folk tell them what it wants to be next. But they don't tell you how many people survived too. Not waiting on that. You gotta really go to the real serious, the depressing stories of America is the ones you gotta go to. Reconstruction. Who built America? Gotta go to that. Gotta get that. Who built America? Reconstruction. The real Reconstruction. Your damn it's fake. And they lying about a lot of stuff. Except even a lie, because it's horrible. Because that lie that they telling to cover up something else, that's still bad. Even if that ain't the full way it really happened, it's still horrible. And I think what's worse than that, that's what really took place. That's how you gotta look at it. Go look at 1929, the crash. The 1870, I believe. 1870 crash. Then 1929. I think it was three crashes though. That was 1872, 71, something like that. 1872, 1871. Look it up. That was the first one. Then the 1929. Then this one that took place, I think in 2008. That one. I think it was one that took place in 84. So one took place in 84, I believe. Then 2008. Obama's one, the housing thing. What I'm saying, in catastrophic events, uh, events that's, well, it's because you got to see how people rebuilding or what are they doing. And then see who died out waiting. Who was waiting on people to give them something during the FDR years. You know, there was a Reconstruction. Louisiana didn't even go. They had the big fish. Louisiana said, well, during the Great Depression, they didn't know the Great Depression in the state of Louisiana because the big fish had it where he was already building bridges and building every damn thing. That's why he was 40 years old, and he was called the Big Fish, and he was the governor of Louisiana, and his plan was to make every man king, and I believe he had that more of a secret and just really went about doing so because in the late 20s, early 30s, you going around saying every man a king. They know there's hundreds of black men in Louisiana. And to be saying that they're gonna be a king, I just don't think that's set well with the reigning powers, governing powers. And they set him up like they did with Lincoln with John with Booth. They set him up like that. He was going to file a petition or something in court, um, and he was going over to the courthouse and made it in there some kind of way and got barricaded with this guy that had it out for him because of these laws he was passing with some of these landowners and some of these big corporations and businesses. And he was passing strong laws and saying, he's gonna make them do this, that, and the other. Tell them when to stand, tell them when to sit, tell them when to crawl, tell them what to do. I like what he was saying, boy. And I believe that dream would have surfaced. They were already not even going through a depression. So the black folks in Louisiana at that time in the 1920s under the big fish, if they wasn't going through a depression, then you know what was happening in America. And if you go look at some documents, if you go look at some documentations, and um, um, if you go read up on it, if you go look up at the history of it during the Great Depression, under the big fish. So, but anyway, they killed him for that. And then when they shoot you with something, it was hard to get that stuff out you then. You know, like John Booth when they shot um, Lincoln, and then I think the Adams, I think he was shot. One of those other Coolidge or whatever his name was shot. One of them that didn't was just a president for like 6 months, and he got shot. And it lodged in him, you know, and they try to dig it out you because it just be lead, you know, it's lodged in you. But that's what happened to him, the big fish, and and so I believe because of that rhetoric, because he was saying every man a king, he probably didn't really mean it to go that far, and didn't think he'd be killed behind it. But I think that's what got him. That's what got him knocked off, saying that every man would be a king in Louisiana during the Great Depression, when there really was no Great Depression in the state of Louisiana. It wasn't until a lot of Louisianans, the grandparents was dead, and parents and that have lived on now, you could get that documentary, you'll see. I believe that if he had not said that, and then when they killed him and put him in a real swampy grave in Louisiana. That's what they do to you when you do your John Brown, man. They say that's treason, Doc. You can't help the African people for nothing, even if that ain't even your intentions. But saying something that way, you know, they couldn't chance that you ain't gonna do it. You're doing all these rules and hurting other white folks. That ain't the ideal down south. So that's what happened to the big fish. But you don't have that now. You know, you have people talk, but you don't have people that are gonna just actually gonna die. Really, even if they don't mean that way, but just saying it just to get votes or something like that, could have just been for that purpose. But they couldn't chance it and didn't. But you don't have it again today, black people, that somebody even saying something like that. Um, uh, they said Blumenberg said that, but we didn't vote for him because of the stop and frisk thing he did. He said, well, he promised black folks something if he became president. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Others didn't even promise it to you. But it's all good though. What are we really doing? I'm out of time, y'all. So thanks for tuning in to the John Williams Show.